I feel like it's perfectly fine to feel like you want to be a part of hookup culture or like sleep around when you're younger to try to figure out what you want. I think that's perfectly fine. And then later on want to have something serious. I don't think sleeping around is a bad thing. I really don't think so. Not for men or women.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. Now wait just a minute. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
You gotta love the things you can count on in life, like the rain always falling and the sun always rising in the east, as well as a woman's ability to assume she has the power to distort basic reality simply because of her feelings. How is it possible for a person to find themselves when all they're doing is getting drunk and getting their backs blown out on a regular basis? Spoiler alert, you can't. Finding yourself is an introspective journey that requires the exploration of your heart and your soul, not your innards. Just listen to her language. I feel this and I feel that, as if that's some kind of a valid argument. Because under your lack of pure logic, I feel like I should be given 10 kilos of solid gold bricks every Tuesday for doing nothing except eating pork rinds and playing Breath of Fire 2. It makes about as much sense as your argument, but unlike what you're saying, my feelings are surprisingly practical as opposed to yours, which are selfishly focused on your own pleasure.
But at some point, the epiphany phase needs to end, and reality needs to set in.
If you want to have a serious relationship, yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
You're 24. Yeah. God bless you. Love you. You have no idea how many girls, when I was 24, just getting started in the South Beach party scene in my early 20s, are still out there single, living it up.
Well, they can do that if they want,
no,
right?
they cannot.
Can't do that?
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
What if that's what makes them happy?
Ridiculous.
Woman, you have I had my fun, now I'm ready to settle down, tattooed all over your face. You're 24, so you have absolutely no concept of consequences. It's a known fact since the dawn of civilization that men will not wife up a woman who sleeps around. But let's go ahead and paint a magical fairy tale and say that when you're 36, you meet a guy who's absolutely fine with the fact that you counted up more bodies than Con Air. There's no chance in HE double hockey sticks that he's gonna be the man that you want, so you won't respect him because you won't feel happy. So you'll rely on your old superpower of delusion to divorce the man purely because of your fifis. You'll then seek refuge in your social media echo chamber of broken, used up women who all complain that there are no men to be found. You know how I know this? Because there's tens of thousands of hours worth of footage on TikTok from used up women who complain about the same thing. And that is what I like to call proof. You've obviously never heard of such a concept. It proves arguments a lot more efficiently than your fifis.
But when they cry themselves to sleep, like, why can't I find a good man? It's like, because you passed him 10 years ago. Because
you act like a...
But you still wanted to hook it up and do the hookup culture
it's because
thing.
they're looking for the plastic because they are plastic, that's why. Because the people in Miami are that way. It's not like you look for
How long have you lived in Miami now? You've got a whole synopsis of the city?
Oh,
okay.
These are
all figured out.
These rules apply nationally and internationally.
I lived in New Zealand. I've been all over the place. I probably lived in more places than you guys have.
Wow. That's amazing.
Okay, so you took your decayed slime basket of birding sensations on a world tour. So what? What does that have to do with the argument at hand? If anything, that just proves that you're even more wrong than before. There are plenty of good men out there, and you just completely disregard them because you're too focused on getting boned by as many young millionaires as humanly possible. Once the women realize they've made a huge mistake and try to hurry and find a husband, they're not looking for fake plastic men. They are looking for the genuinely good men who will treat them well, only to find out that they're not wanted. It's not because they're looking for fake men, they're looking for the men that they actively ignored for over 15 years. Now, I know you can't comprehend living in a world where men ignore you, but don't worry, you'll get to know it intimately in a few years.
Why American men are so different. In Colombia, I dated an Italian, a Canadian, a Spain guy, a guy from Canary Island, I don't even know how to say that in English, a British guy, an Argentinian, of course Colombian, but guess what? I ever dated an American. Now I'm here in United States and what can I tell you?
I must have missed 60 minutes. What are you saying?
Well, there isn't a single thing you can tell us. Just because you slept with men of different nationalities doesn't make you an expert on anything except possibly the bounce quality of certain mattress brands, and potentially which antibiotic is most effective when it comes to your, well, let's just say you're on a first name basis with those antibiotics and leave it at that. In America, it's not that hard to find a dude. You could go outside right now and find a man who'd be willing to take you out on a date. There are plenty of men out there who would take one look at you and commit an act of larceny just for the chance. But then, after 3 minutes into the first cup of coffee, they'd wish they were sent to jail instead because they realized they made a horrible error. Now, the problem is you don't want to date just any regular American. You want to experience American Chad, and that's going to be a problem. Chad has a massive amount of options in America. He doesn't have time to go through them all, so he picks the best woman and ignores you. It's really not that complicated.
I've been in the United States for 2 years, and I'm not lying to you when I tell you that no one wants to take you seriously. Not only that, some men, they just want to be treated like a woman. It's so hard to find someone valuable, someone who wants to open their heart and build like real deep connections. That's almost impossible here.
You! I will think of you as I throw up into the toilet.
Wow, that is embarrassing. You almost had a point. You could have said the exact same thing, but if you were a man, that would have been true. Most men actually want a deep connection with a woman. They want that strong emotional bond with someone who's going to stay with him for life. Why do you think men are going overseas to find wives? It's not because we find you intimidating. We find you incredibly annoying. You have the audacity to look at us and say that we refuse to take things seriously when you are the ones ignoring us. But now that the tables have turned and we're ignoring you and going off to find our own happiness, all of a sudden, we're to blame for everything again. Most of us just want someone who's going to treat us with respect, kindness, dignity, and a little bit of appreciation. It's not really that big of an ask, but that's what you define being treated like a woman. You can't just disrespect us like that and then expect us to come crawling to you for companionship. We have too much self-respect to lower ourselves to that kind of level, and you're simply not worth it.
And it's so sad because at this point, I think I'm absolutely never having a boyfriend here. And this really makes me want to understand and like study, maybe do my research about why men here are so different. I'm even about to think that it's me, that I am having a problem, but I need answers.
You're like a specially trained super agent. You know that?
Nobody cares if you get an American boyfriend. It's your life, it's your problem. But in order to understand why, all you have to do is ask yourself a certain question. If you've dated Colombians, Spaniards, Brits, Canary Islanders, Canadians, and Argentinians and never formed that deep connection you claim to crave, then what does that say about you? You don't need to do any research, lady. The men of several nationalities have already told you, you are not worth the effort. You have too much baggage and too high of expectations. Why should a man go through all of that work to try and bond with you when it's clear they'll get nothing in return? You've had countless chances to actually get yourself a guy of substance and you threw them away for the experience. How do you expect American men to be any different? Just because we're better at being smartasses doesn't mean that we have the power to magically fix you. And even if we could, why should we bother? That energy is better spent learning how to more effectively fertilize our lawns.
Indeed! Feminism has created a bunch of generations that are sick and tired of girl power, girl boss, and are honestly burnt out and exhausted and don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And this is where feminine energy comes in, because you don't have to do it all. You shouldn't be doing it all. You don't need a girl boss. You don't need to hustle your buns off. You should have things handed to you on a silver platter.
Hey.
Nope, sorry, that is not how any of this works. Feminism not only brainwashed women into that bonkers girl boss mentality, it's also convinced generations of women to think that over 80% of men are completely useless. You spent decades shaming us, talking down to us, and telling us that we have no place in your new girl boss world order, and now all of a sudden, when you're starting to realize that working actually requires some work, you want to turn around and say that you want us to hand you an easy life on a silver platter? But you're a modern feminist. You're naturally forgetting yourself. You literally asked for this. In fact, you demanded it. You demanded preferred representation in the workplace, and you got it. You were gonna walk into that workplace and show us useless men how it's done. This is your golden opportunity. Don't waste it simply because you're a little sleepy. You're a woman. Let us hear you roar. It's not like we have any choice. Your voice is too shrill for us to ignore.
Life should not be difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. You can have the people, the partner, the man, the confidence, everything come to you as it should be. If you want to be a homemaker, cool. If you still want to run a business like me and still live with ease and joy and have things come to you, you absolutely can.
Are you sure?
You know, it was Katharine Hepburn who once said that life is hard. After all, it kills you. And you are of no exception. You don't get to just walk on easy street simply because you got to work and found out that you don't like it. Once again, you demanded this. But wouldn't you know it, the second you get it, you don't want it anymore. It's almost as if when you go to work, you're actually required to work. Go figure. Too bad, sister. And let me ask you something. Who exactly is gonna give you this silver platter? Chad's sure as hell not gonna give it to you because you're not worth more than 5 minutes you provide in his bedroom. Self-respecting men aren't gonna bother simply because they aren't wasting their lives with women who are constantly disrespecting them. And simps can't because you won't give them the time of day. But it sounds to me like you have no choice but to get your ass back to work, sweetheart. Now, we would help you out, but we're men. Your doctrine clearly states that we are evil, hateful people. So we're just gonna stay out of your way. You're welcome.
You can 100% unsubscribe to I'm just not gonna hustle my ass off anymore. And good for you if you decide this is the path that you want to take, because you have to buy into that anymore. In my opinion, unlike the feminist movement has created nothing but burnout and frustration. And yes, it is important that we had to switch things around with the patriarchy, but I feel like you can still achieve that. Women are still achieving that while still being able to get what they want. You don't have to hustle to get what you want. You can just have it come to you. It's amazing, amazing, amazing.
Wrong! I beg your pardon, did you just imply that you can exchange your failed LLC paperwork for an apron? That's got to be one of the most brain-damaged things I have ever heard in my life. Feminism does not have a return policy. When you change things, they were permanent. And once again, you are forgetting yourself. You got everything you could possibly want. The media, the court system, private enterprises, the government, and world culture are all virtually worshiping women. You got preferential treatment in the workplace, and you even get your own set of lenient rules when it comes to practically anything. You have every possible advantage that you could ever want, but now you want even more. Well, too bad. You wanted work, you live with work. And we're not gonna save you because let's face it, you're not worth saving and we're busy with our own work. Now more than ever, thanks to the fact that society is crumbling, we're gonna need you to pull your fair share out there. So let me ask you something. Now that you got everything you wanted, do you feel empowered yet? And that is gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of humor is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Let's give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.